I'm Lynn, and today I'm going to talk about pet reincarnation. So the question that was sent to me is, do pets reincarnate into different breeds and return to their same owners? And if so, how do they find their way back? If, say, they come from the pound this time, do they see another breed and think, hey, my folks didn't like or want me running after rabbits here, so I'll be a bird dog now? You know, do pets think like that? Do they have that kind of mentality and spirit? Or do they just find a dog soul that can intersect with the owners? Eyes are the windows to the soul, but are there other ways to recognize a dog in a new body? I love this question. I thought that was really cute and cool to tune into. And before I get into the reading itself, please don't forget to like and share my videos. It helps me out a lot. And I'm really working hard to grow our psychic focus community. So if you like content like this, please share my content. I'm very appreciative to any and all of you that do so. So without further ado, let me get to the reading itself. And I get that all living things with a life force, they have the ability to reincarnate, but some have to work their way up the ascension ladder or the chain to get to animal and human form. For example, plants, they have a life force. There's other elements and vibrations of living species out there that have to work their way up. But yes, you can get to where you are incarnating in animal and human form. If any of you have seen the movie A Dog's Purpose, the entire premise of that movie is to get back to the old owner. And I do see there being truth behind that movie, that animals and pets, loved ones, they do that. So much of trying to get back to an old owner has to do with synchronicity and the universe guiding. If that soul is to meet back with a specific person, it may take a few incarnations to get there. The person has to be ready to receive it, right? Just because the pet might be ready to incarnate, maybe the old owner is not ready to take that on, or something's going on in their life. But eventually it will happen if it's meant to be. It could even be that the pet becomes a neighbor's friend, a relative's pet, but he or she will make a way back to their life if they're really and truly supposed to be in their life. The universe is great at giving nudges and tugging at intuition. A person may have an overwhelming urge to check the pound, or maybe they even come across an abandoned dog or a cat alongside the road or something like that where they can't find the owner. Their precious souls are going to cross paths if and when it is meant to be. It is true the eyes are the window to the soul, but there's other things too. I would encourage you to look at their mannerisms, look at their behaviors, think in forms of how they act rather than what they look like, because that's truly the telltale. And this is a true story on manifesting and reincarnation of pets that I lived through and I experienced, and I wanted to take a minute to share with you. It is slightly lengthy, so if you don't have time right now to listen, feel free to skip to the end. Otherwise, I am going to just go on here. So my kids, they were much younger. They wanted a dog and they pleaded. They're like, Mom, I want a dog. I want a dog. But I wasn't sure, or we weren't sure rather, that they were responsible enough for the challenge. And even though I love dogs, I'd already had 4 kids and I wasn't ready to take on a 5th kid, especially with the ages of how young the kids were at the time. And we were talking about a dog, and you know, this topic would come up all the time. And one day we have a weekend place that has a little tiny house on it, and we were walking there and a dog just shows up out of nowhere, out of the woods. And at first we weren't sure what was going on, but the dog come up to us wagging the tail, and the kids, you know, they're in heaven, they're wanting to play with this dog. It came up to us like it knew us its whole life. So the dog, he was golden in color and he had the characteristics of a fox, so we nicknamed him Foxy. And we didn't know where he lived, but we could tell he was cared for because he was clean, he was fed, and that type of stuff. He followed us back to the house, and the kids, of course, they're wanting to keep this dog, but knowing that he belonged to someone out there, we didn't allow the dog inside so he could wander back home. That's what country dogs do. They wander around and then they go back home. The kids were really upset that we didn't let him in the house, but nonetheless, you know, it was the right thing to do so he could go back to his rightful owners. They played all day, and they were certain that once we went inside at night that the dog would leave. And to our surprise, he was there in the morning. So we fed him, and the kids continued to play all weekend. We ended up going home after the weekend of being there, but every weekend that we showed up from that point forward, whether we went together or my husband was alone and would go and hang out on the weekend, Foxy would show up. And then he got to where he heard the sound of our car and he would just show up. So we joked that we had a weekend dog, that the kids actually manifested a dog. It was a part-time dog, and it was a perfect dog because it was a weekend dog. And then out of nowhere, Foxy just disappeared, and we would go there, we would not see him. And this went on for a really long time. We asked some of the neighbors, because we eventually found out where he lived, and the neighbors were aware that he would come to our house when the kids would be there, or if my husband showed up and he was there, even alone, the dog would show up. So the neighbors knew where Foxy was, and we learned, where he was supposed to reside. But then he just quit coming, and it was kind of sad because there was just no sign of him. So we worried about him, and by this time, a year had passed. We had looked everywhere and looked in the ditches. He was nowhere to be found. So we assumed that in a year's time, something had happened to this poor dog, but he was such a sweet dog. And, by this time, there was, a lot of time had passed, and I was finally on board with getting a dog. The kids were getting older, and we started to look at the pound and in the classifieds. We didn't really care what kind of dog it was. We just wanted the right dog for our family. Didn't care the color of the breed, any of that. We just wanted the right dog. And one day I was at home, and randomly my husband called. He was at the cabin at the time, which is 2 hours away, and he said that there was a boxer named Odin that was about a year old, and the neighbor was looking to find him a home. He was rescued from a horribly, horribly abusive situation, but the people that did the rescue couldn't keep him long term. So I tell the kids, they're beyond excited. They couldn't wait to see him and go pick him up. So we drove there and we brought him home, and he has proved to be the most sweetest, best dog that we could have ever hoped for. He is so full of love. He loves his family. He loves people. Truly just perfect addition to this family. And then it occurred to us one day that he might be Foxy reincarnated. So we started to watch him, and they did have really similar personalities, almost exact, when we really came to that realization of, wow, is this Foxy? Is there a Foxy inside there? So we would ask him occasionally, we would ask Odin this. And the thing that really clicked for us was when Foxy was at the cabin, he would show up there. We had a pull-behind trailer that was always in the yard. He always would go under it. It was like his safe space. No matter where it was at night, he would go sleep there. If it was hot out, he would go sleep there. If it was cold out, he would go sleep. Yeah, he always wanted to be there, to where we'd put water under it just because he would always want to hang out there. Well, one day we had the trailer at our city house, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe it. And once he showed up, my husband showed up with that pull-behind trailer, Odin would not get out from underneath it anytime he was outside. If he went outside to go to the bathroom, he would go under the trailer. Like, he always was behind the trailer. And underneath it, he treated it like a doghouse for whatever reason. It was just the strangest, oddest thing, and it clicked to us. This is probably Foxy here. So not only did my kids manifest a dog not once but twice, we saw how a soul, when it's to be in your life, it's going to find a way. Sometimes those ways are completely random. Ours, both times, completely random. And most times it will be unexpected, but it will feel like the right thing to do at the time. So just go with it and see what kind of reward the universe has in store for you. So that's my true little story here, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have a story to share, by all means, leave a comment. And again, don't forget to like and share my stuff, and hop on over to the blog if you'd like a reading for yourself. If you need any life coaching, would be interested in Reiki, any of those things, I can help you out, and I'd be more than happy to help set something up. So I will leave you with that. Again, I'm Lynn with Psychic Focus at psychicfocus.blogspot.com. Thank you. Bye.